Yo, what's up? It's E2000. Woo, I'm representing I See Me. Let's do it. Haha. I see me, 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 I see me. Hope until them see
All
deserves
right.
in his
Hello.
story.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the ICME Spotlight Series. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And my name is Jeffrey Blair, and I am the co-owner of the ICME African American Children's Bookstore with myself and my wife. And we're here at the bookstore, and I just want to welcome you guys to the Spotlight Series, where we try to highlight, children's books that are out in the market today that reflect children of color, and also highlight the authors that bring us these great, magnificent pieces of art. And today, I'm just real excited about our special guest that's here. But first, I just wanted to give you a little housekeeping. Please, if you're here and you're viewing us, go ahead and say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from and where you're calling in from. Make sure and bring your children out together and so that they'll be able to see and partake in this story time as well. Spread the word out. We're also live on Facebook, so share it so that we can bring people in and make sure that we can have a really good time this afternoon at the ICME Spotlight Series. You may hear some background noise, but that again, we're at the store right now, so you're going to hear people sometimes in the back, people coming into the door, so I don't mind that. But just to let you know a little bit history about ourselves first. ICME African American Children's Bookstore, myself, my wife Pamela, opened this bookstore in 2015 in University City, Missouri, which is right outside of St. Louis. And this was born out of as parents, the frustration that we had really trying to find books that reflected our children's beauty and their skin and their hair, legacy and contributions to African Americans. This was really hard to find books like that. But along the way, we were very deliberate and diligent in trying to gather all that we could. My wife even wrote a couple books as well to try to fill the gap that we saw out there. And long story short, we had other parents and teachers in schools that also had this type of frustration and trying to fill that gap. So we said, let's open up a bookstore that can kind of be that resource to parents, to schools, ultimately to children, so that all children can see themselves in the books that they read. And so we opened up in 2015, recently moved to a larger space in 2019. So we've been trying to grow and spread the word and trying to help as many people as we can ever since. So again, we all create this program so that, to our customers, they can be able to, again, connect with the authors and some of the great titles that are being put out there. When people come into the store, one of the first things they say is like, wow, I had no idea there were so many books that featured people of color or written by people of color. So we're glad to be a part of this illumination of this part of the industry and the children's book market, and to really help it grow and flourish. So again, make sure let us know that you're there. Put your questions in the chat after we go through our story time session. Then you'll have a time to actually have the author be able to answer some of those questions. Okay, so our special guest that we have today is Miss Linsey Davis. And you guys, I was just watching you last week. No, a couple days ago. I was on the news. I'm like, I'm going to talk to her soon. I'm so excited to be with her. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just a little brief paragraph that I have about you is Linsey Davis is an Emmy Award-winning journalist and ABC News correspondent and anchor hosting ABC News Live for World News, Good Morning America, 2020, Nightline, and I watch all of those. She is also the best-selling author of children's books, The World is Awake and One Big Heart, and now her latest book, Stay This Way Forever. And she's going to be reading all three of those books today. So again, it's a real special story time. And she also lives in New York. I'm from New York, actually. I'm in St. Louis now, but I'm from New York.
Okay.
And with her husband and her son, who is her biggest inspiration. So without further ado, Miss Linsey Davis, thank you for being on the ICME Spotlight.
Yeah, thank you so much. I loved the show Open, by the way. That song, the I See Me song, is great and so catchy and so relevant and meaningful. So thank you so much for having me on. Happy Saturday to everybody.
Yeah. Yes, by the
So,
way, my son Ezra wrote that song when he was 11. Oh,
wow, very good, Ezra. I'm impressed.
10?
I am
He's 10.
impressed. So I have a son as well who is just about to turn 7 in 8 days, as he keeps reminding me every day we have a countdown. But as you said, he has been my inspiration in writing children's books, just the decision to even start writing. And then he has inspired the theme so far of every book that I've written. And so, as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about a new book, an up and coming book that I'm waiting for him to kind of give me the direction where we're going to take it. But basically, you know, a lot like you, Jeffrey, I started seeing when I was deliberately looking for books that it was hard to find books with children and characters who look like my son. And so then I put on my reporter hat and realized there was a study out of University of Wisconsin in 2018, I believe, that said that 27% of children's books are focused on animals. And so that means that children who are reading books are more likely to see animals in their books than they are children of color. And so I figured rather than complain about that, let me be part of the solution. And initially I was just going to write one book. And as I said, that book did well. And then my son kind of would give me thoughts, you know, not that he was anticipating that they were going to become a book, but I would just say, oh, that would be a really good book. And so here we are now, 3 books in, and already have written and gotten approved the 4th one that'll be coming out next year. But I, as you said, my day hat, my day job, and the hat that I wear during the day is a news anchor and correspondent. And a lot of people think that's so different, which it is. It's a different world from writing children's books. But at the same time, at the heart of it all, I consider myself to be a storyteller. And so this is a way and an outlet that has allowed me to be really positive and tell the good news and also increase representation. And so I would also just say a lot of people think that because a book might have Black and brown characters, that they are only for Black and brown children. And I think that couldn't be further from the truth. While initially I was doing it for a mirror for my son to be able to see himself reflected in pages, I ultimately realized there's still also a lot of value in windows, right? So that children can peer into a world that perhaps is unfamiliar to their own. And so many parents have been talking about, as a result of the summer of protests and the so-called racial reckoning that we're in, you know, what kind of conversations can I have with my children about raising a more empathetic and a child who's going to embrace diversity and celebrate how we're different. And I think that you can start, especially if you don't live in a diverse area or have a diverse family or go to a diverse school or place of worship, I think you can start with books and toys. And I think that that's just so priceless. And while a lot of parents, again, were reading, you know, how to be an anti-racist, I don't know that they were so mindful about the diversity of their bookshelves and their book collections and the books that they were placing in their children's hands. Yes. And so I think that if in an early age, children are exposed to kids who don't look like them, it won't be so unfamiliar when they see that diversity in real life. I know that at our house, we have books with every kind of walk of life of person and animal, and people look all differently. And my son never says, oh, why is that child this color? He just says, oh yeah, that's Jack, you know, or that's Jane. And I think that we ultimately want to get all children to that place. And if they are asking about, oh, well, why is this child brown or yellow or whatever, then it sparks the conversation. And we're talking about it, because I think so often people fear what they don't know. And so let's know, let's expose, let's have those experiences.
Right. 100%,
so
100%. Can I just, let me just chime in there too,
yeah.
because that's been a very similar experience that we had at ICME. When we first opened, we were really focused on our children, African-American, and then other African-American children. But as we opened up, and we opened up around the same time that Mike Brown took place.
Oh, okay.
Similar, not as high maybe, but a similar type of experience where people were like, how could this happen? I want to find out more. And there was a surge of people wanting more information. And we would get the question so many times, oh, how do I talk to my children about race? And I was like, well, that can't be the first conversation you have to be so serious. Just exposing them to literature can, like you said, spark the conversation. That can't be the only conversation you're having when there's something that's an issue. It should just be an ongoing thing. And so we've learned along the way, a part of our experience. That's why kind of like we have, you know, all children, you know, need to be exposed to diverse literature, you know. So similar experience that you're having. I concur 100%.
All right. Well, I will say with that, my first book, The World is Awake, specifically was inspired by my son was maybe a little old, between maybe 2.5. And he was in the car and he asked me, Mommy, does God open up the flowers? And I loved that question. And I really started mulling over how I wanted to really answer it and talk about, God's beauty and majesty and creations all around us and including us. And so that's when I was inspired to write The World is Awake, a celebration of everyday blessings. So I'm going to read that to you now. Let's see if you can see that okay. All right. This is the day the Lord has made. A butterfly floats through the sun in the shade, while dragonflies flit past the flowers and trees, and grasshoppers hop in the soft morning breeze. And the bees, busy bees, are buzzing today, as ladybugs call them to come out and play. Just look at the sunrise that's painted the sky, and look at the songbirds all starting to fly. The world is awake. It's a wonderful place, alive with God's power and glad with his grace. Out in the yard, just waiting today, are all kinds of things that want us to play. The gifts of the Lord are found everywhere, and all that I see is just like a prayer. So much of creation is happy and good. Even the rocks would sing if they could. It's in praise of the Lord that trees grow so tall, that grass grows so green, and the flowers all call. Look at us, look at us. God dressed us up too, like great sweeping rainbows and skies wrapped in blue, like water in sunshine and summer days too. And you, beautiful, beautiful you. And later today, what shall we do? I know, let's go to the zoo. We can buy a balloon and meet a baboon. We can look at the animals all afternoon. See that bear over there? He's just trying to snooze, despite all the noise from the young kangaroos. The slippery otters are swimming along. The playful coyotes are howling a song. I love zebras and lions and elephants too, pandas and penguins and owls that call, whoo. Peacocks and panthers, a great mountain sheep, and that grumpy old bear who is trying to sleep. Down at the zoo, they're all on parade, the wonderful creatures the good Lord has made. My belly sounds like that bear when it growls. It's time for supper. My tummy now howls. So let's stop at the market for something to eat. God always provides us with wonderful treats. At supper time, I take my chair and bow my head and say a prayer to thank the Lord for all this food, for carrots cooked and apples stewed, for milk and juice and bread and cheese, for even Brussels sprouts and peas. It tastes so good, I eat, and then I thank the Lord for food again. And with my belly full, I start to yawn. The light outside is almost gone. Up in the trees, high in the leaves, I hear God's love and the sound of the breeze. The wind is whispering stories tonight, and far above, the moon shines bright. So I say my prayers and climb into bed, then snuggle up close while my books are read. The comforting night feels calm and deep, calling me down to a dreamy sleep, calling me down to a dreamy sleep, calling me down to dream and sleep. All right, and that is The World is Awake, a celebration of everyday blessings. One thing that some astute young minds have pointed out, there's one error really in the illustrations, which I wonder if some of you at home that might be reading the book or just saw the image. And Lucy Fleming did the illustration. She does such a marvelous job. But I'm going to show you here, if anybody notices what it is. So the owl has its eyes closed at night, but owls are nocturnal, right? Which means that owls actually stay awake during the nighttime. So anyway, so I've loved that some very young minds have pointed that out to me.
Yeah, that's
All
what
right,
children do, right?
Yes, exactly. So the next book that I wrote is called One Big Heart, a celebration of being more alike than different. And this came because we were at a time in our country where I just felt that we were just more divided than ever. And as much as I think we want to protect our children from all of that outside noise, I think it was creeping inside. And so I just wanted to address it head on and say, yes, we are different, but we are more alike than we are different. And so let's really talk about that.
What year was this? What year did you write this?
I wrote this came out in August of 2019.
Okay.
And so I wrote it a year before that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It was particularly sparked by a conversation that my son asked me about when there were two men who were arrested at the Starbucks in Philadelphia. And as a result of that, I said, you know what, let's talk about this, okay?
Yeah.
So here we go. In one itty bitty corner of our great big world is our teeny tiny classroom filled with happy boys and girls. Each one of us is different, because what fun would it be if I look like my classmates and they all look like me? Our faces make a rainbow, lots of colors all around, shades of tan and melon skin and even chocolate brown. Some are missing two front teeth while others smile with dimples. God made each of us unique. It really is that simple. Some have wavy hair on top while others wear their straight. Some sport afros, twists, or braids. I think my puff looks great. Juan is short and Reed is tall. We're every shape and size. Some have freckles on their nose and some have bright blue eyes. God gave us different bodies that can do amazing things. With one arm, Elle does cartwheels and my friend Amanda sings. Sam loves telling stories and wants to learn to read. Noah wears a bright red cape and runs with super speed. Mila plays a princess with a long pink ruffly dress. Asher likes to jump and splash and often makes a mess. The bell rings and we head outside for recess in the sun. Our giggles and our laughter show we all like having fun. I see those smiling faces and understand today we're more alike than different in many special ways. We each have rhythm deep inside that makes us want to move. We love to run and jump around and find our playground groove. Back inside for music, we bop to every beat. We wiggle and dance sideways. We clap and stomp our feet. And afterward, it's lunchtime, our favorite time of day. No matter what we choose to eat, our taste buds shout, hooray! And one thing I just want to point out, like in this illustration and many of these pages, you're going to see such a diversity in children, right? So we're not just focusing on Black and brown. We have everybody. We are kind of trying to give a real world portrayal of inclusion and diversity.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Each of us is curious. We can't wait to explore. We ask a lot of questions and then we ask some more. We all like to imagine and let our minds run free, to draw or write or dream about what we'll grow up to be. We all have great big feelings that don't always stay inside. Sometimes we've gotten angry. Sometimes we've sat and cried. Then a friend will cheer us up and fill our lives with joy. We all need friends who give us hugs or share a favorite toy. But the way we're most alike, the most important part, God gave us all a special gift. We each have one big heart. We've got a lot of elbows, we've got a lot of hands, we've got eyes to help us see and feet so we can stand. But the thing that matters most is something we can't see, the touch of God that's inside you and also inside me. That's the place where kindness grows and where love gets its start. Deep down in our pumping, thumping, one big heart.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Oh, thank you.
And it's true. And I like you said, the diversity, right? When you see that,
Right,
the
right,
differences
right.
is what makes us also beautiful, makes it
Exactly. And what we really need to celebrate.
100%.
And so lastly, I'm going to read Stay This Way Forever. And I think that this is really going to resonate with all parents who have felt at some point that you just want to push the pause button and kind of freeze this moment because you're just enjoying so much, each stage of life and childhood. And while there are so many things that are really fleeting, that are not going to last, at the same time, I think that there are a lot of aspects that you want your children to not leave on the playground of childhood, but you'd like them to take with them. So curiosity, creativity, joy. There are so many times when my son will say at night, he'll tell me about what he's going to do the next day. And then he'll say, it's going to be the best day ever. And I love that he's so enthusiastic about that. And I really hope that he will keep that excitement about the promise and possibilities of tomorrow with him into adulthood.
Nice.
All right. So without any further ado, stay this way forever. The sleepy sun is setting and another day is done. The lightning bugs have dimmed their lights and bedtime has begun. The moment that you're tucked in tight and you drift off to sleep, I think of all the memories that I would like to keep. Your joyful songs, your belly laughs, the clever things you say are moments from this fairy tale I cherish every day. Like footprints tracked along the shore or flower blooms in May, I try to memorize those times before they slip away. I'll hold them close like I hold you, pressed against my heart, and marvel at the child you are as every new day starts. You wake up every morning with a grin from ear to ear, then wrap your arms around my neck, your snuggles are so dear. You pucker up for kisses, unafraid to let love show. The feeling is pure joy each time I hear your sweet hello. Your giggles make me giggle as we share a tickle fight. You catch your breath and start to squeal. The sound is pure delight. Sweet child, keep the love and joy in everything you do. Stay this way forever is the wish I have for you. You're curious about the world and everything you see, from dewdrops on a flower to the buzzing of a bee. I'm inspired every day to see things through your eyes, reminding me the world is filled with wonder and surprise. Your innocent and open heart sees only what is good. I hope you stay this way forever, long past childhood. Each day I watch you build the most imaginary things, like castles made for unicorns and rocket ships with wings. Always keep creating. Let that side of you run wild. So when you find you're all grown up, you'll still dream like a child. When music plays, you're dancing, wiggling, jiggling to the beat. My heart smiles as you close your eyes and move your happy feet. My dream is that you'll stay this way forever and a day and dance in celebration of your life along the way. When you're hurt or feeling bad, I wipe away your tears, then cuddle close and hold you tight to soothe away your fears. There might be days when things get tough and you just want to hide, but please remember this, my love, I'll be right by your side. I'll always be there watching, trying to keep you safe from harm. You'll never be too big for me to hold you in my arms. I have so many dreams for you and what your life may hold. I'm blessed to have a front row seat to watch it all unfold. But for now, please promise me as you begin to grow that you'll stay true to who you are and everything you know. Whether you are 3 years old or even 83, find the feeling in your soul that keeps you wild and free. Fill the world with laughter as you skip and dance and spin, and keep your big heart open wide so love comes rushing in. Create and find the wonderful in everything you do, and stay this way forever, always knowing I love you.
Oh, nice. Nice.
All right, well, that is it. But I'm happy to answer any questions or.
Amazing, amazing. I love the poems, and my children that actually inspired us to open IC Me. They're now college and grad school, but you're going through. This takes me back to when they were young,
yes,
and like you
yes,
said.
yes.
Yeah. So beautiful, beautiful. Great job in all three of these books. And what does your son think about the books? Like, He knows he's the
Well,
inspiration for it?
yes, he does. He has decided that he's a book author as well. He takes stacks of papers and staples them and draws pictures and writes his sentences. And
Nice.
so I'm glad to see though that he feels, and I really do hope that that's a message that he'll keep with him. That if he decides that he wants to do something, he can just do it, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people say, oh, maybe I'm going to write a book, or how do I do it, whatever. And he just kind of presented it to me one day, and I was very proud of him for that.
Nice, nice, nice. Just no limitations. If I think of
Right,
it, I can do
exactly,
it. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. So there's a part there, like word association, right? When I say the word, what comes to mind? Representation.
Matters.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Hope.
Hmm. Faith comes
Hmm.
to mind, right? So I think that hope is to me, it's almost like you're just kind of like there's no strategy behind hope, right? You're just you're thinking that you're desiring the best outcome, but I don't know if there's that much there's that much that you're putting into getting that outcome. But
Hmm.
I think with faith, you believe that it's going to happen, right?
Hmm.
It's you don't necessarily need, as the Bible would talk about, you don't necessarily need the to see the evidence to believe that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I think that faith takes hope one step further.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, absolutely, no. And look, going through the books, you can't help but be hopeful when you look at the
Oh,
future and the children and seeing them being edified by the
mm.
words and the imagery. The imagery speaks 1,000 words. So beautiful job. I'm getting a lot of comments and people just beautiful, all bold, and they love all three books. And yes, all three books, you can get them at ICME Bookstore. Absolutely, absolutely. Definitely on my list of gifts.
Oh, and we also sent to your store a few days ago some signed book placards so that anybody who gets the
Yes,
books, they can get a signed version of the book. So
yes, exactly. That's right. That's right. To get your signed copy here at ICME. Yes, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Also, excellent storyteller. Even the way you told the
yeah.
story. Yeah, they
Oh,
love
great. Oh, that's so good to hear. It's from all these years of reading bedtime stories every night.
that. Right, right. The illustrations, beautiful illustration.
Yes.
Who did the? Oh, is it the same
Yes,
illustrator?
Lucy Fleming. Yes, she has. We have been partnered up together, and I've stuck with her from the beginning. The publisher had asked me kind of what I was looking for in the illustrations, and I said whimsical, and I felt she captured that, and so yeah, we have stayed together.
Got you. So, the question we get quite a bit, individuals, a lot of times they're thinking about becoming authors.
Mhm.
What's that process like from the idea you mentioned your son was inspiration to getting it published? Like what was that journey?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So I ended up meeting with a literary agent, which was super helpful because I've been told anyway that you can't just really door knock with the publishers, right? You can't just blindly really send them something, or I guess you could, but the likelihood of them taking you on as a
It's
client is
tough.
unusual,
It's
right?
tough.
So,
Yeah. Hmm.
so I did feel that getting a literary agent was, kind of the game changer, um, and she really kind of gave a strategy of how we were going to go about pitching. I had already kind of written the book and was presenting it to her, and it did flesh it out a little bit more once we did get the publisher on board. There's an editor, and they kind of will say, well, we don't really like this, or how about this, or and so there were some changes, and then the initially I had written a whole book that I paid someone to illustrate, and then I was told later that a lot of times the publishers like to kind of have a say
Right.
in kind of guiding the art direction and all of that. So we really kind of took it back to bare bones. Like I had already kind of made it to home base, and then maybe we went back to second base and then
Mm,
moved forward from there.
got you. Got you. Yeah. 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 And so when you took it and had to go back to second base, and then they had to, sort of make the tweaks. Was that hard to do? Someone adjusting your work?
No, I didn't
Yeah.
mind because I knew that I was a newbie,
Oh,
and
gotcha.
so I was saying, oh yeah, help me to be better. And you guys kind of know the formula and what, readers are looking for. And so yeah, I had no problem with making their suggestions or recommendations.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so after the first one, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this again.
Yes, yeah, really, really wasn't expecting that I was going to, make a second kind of career out of this, but it's ended up being really enjoyable. And I actually like the challenge of kind of starting something new. I've been in the news industry for, more than 2 decades, love it. Wouldn't want to change that for the world. But I do feel like there's something unique to learning something new,
Yeah.
teaching this old dog a new trick. And I like that aspect of it as well, and just the creativity of it. Mhm.
Yes, and no, I'm glad you did, and keep bringing more because we need this as a bookstore owner on the front lines. We need this so much. Like we do a lot of book fairs, and I remember one time we were setting up at a book fair at a school, and we were in one particular room. We're putting up all the books, and a couple of children had walked by the room and peeked their head in. And they didn't really get a real good glimpse of all the books. All they saw is that all the books had African American characters on them, and the first thing they said was, "Oh, civil rights." Like that's the pigeonhole when you think about black books or black authors. Like that's
Right,
the one
right.
topic or subject. But it's important, like we talked about a little bit earlier, that it's all genres, all perspectives. There's not just one dimension
Exactly.
that we care about, and so it's so beautiful to kind of have that perspective. Although they're mostly African American characters, even diverse characters, it's universal message.
Exactly. Yes.
So maybe you can speak to that
100%.
a little bit, to that how
Oh,
that
sure. I
aspect.
mean, I think that there are a lot of times when you, for example, you have like a movie that people will say like it's a black movie, right? Or it
Yeah,
deals with black issues or whatever. But it's rare that you can just have a movie that
yeah,
has black characters and people don't see it that way as just, oh, a movie that happened to have black characters in it,
yeah.
black actors. And that's really just what I would stress again with the books is that these are issues about, you know, being open and embracing diversity and loving your children at every stage of their life and celebrating the everyday blessings that has nothing to do with race.
Right.
It's just, if you live long enough and you love your children long enough or whatever the scenario may be, you're going to feel these same feelings that everyone has regardless of race.
100%. 100%. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Um, so, if you don't mind, I could talk a little bit about your career, if that's okay,
Oh,
just
sure.
quickly. So, tell us about that journey in ABC News and even getting to where you are right now. I think it's the only African American woman on news, the nightly news. I think is that right at this point?
Well, I believe CBS also does have Jerika Duncan, who anchors their evening news on
Okay.
Sundays.
Okay.
At ABC, it had been 18 years since Carol Simpson, who was the first Black woman to anchor
Right.
any network broadcast. She has stepped down 18 years ago, and it took about 2 decades for me to come along. And so
Yeah.
I see that it's a lot of responsibility, but I see it as a gift. I'm really so pleased, just as a person. Again, I don't think while a lot has been made about my blackness, I do think that in the end, it's a newscast that I'm able to bring new experience and perspective to the table. But in the end, I hope that people will watch and not be thinking about,
You're right.
the race, except for as an example. I do hope that for young girls in particular, Black and brown girls, so much has been made since, with the Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, that, quite often you have to see it to be it. And so
Right.
I do think just as much as I was inspired or, Carol Simpson kind of planted the seeds of possibility for me as a little girl watching, knowing that, okay, somebody's already done this and checked this box. And so it's very possible to achieve this. I do hope in that same vein that that young girls will feel that that's possible for them if this journalism is a direction they choose, or writing children's books is a direction they choose. But yes, I kind of took a long road, circuitous road, which is often the way when you're getting to the network. I started in Syracuse, worked at a CBS station there, went to Flint, Michigan, worked at an ABC affiliate there, then went to Indianapolis for almost 5 years, and then ultimately went to ABC News One, which is the affiliate provider for the networks, and have been at ABC for almost 14 years now.
Wow.
And so it's been a long journey, but one that I thoroughly enjoy. I feel blessed to have a seat at the table, if you will, and I'm glad to see that table is getting more crowded with different backgrounds and lenses, and I think it makes us all better.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I saw on a prior interview you mentioned, I think it was, is it the 4 Ps? Like right now we're dealing with.
Right. Well, in 2020, yes.
Okay.
I felt like,
okay.
It was like the pandemic and the protests and the police brutality, and the president who was, having a really difficult time trying to bring us together. And, certainly just unprecedented times and stressful times. And hopefully, we're seeing that proverbial light at the end of the tunnel now as people are getting their vaccines, and schools are reopening, and businesses and people are able to kind of return to their livelihoods.
Right. Yeah, and that was going to be my question. Do you feel hopeful about the future going forward? After?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do. I mean, and I think you have to.
Right.
I mean, shy of that, it would be very dismal to live a life without hope.
Right, 100%. Well, you add hope to me, and I know to others as well, with your work that you do at ABC as well. And like you just said earlier, representation matters. It does matter. And so thank you for being a representation for us in that sphere. And also in expanding your gifts even into writing and to touching lives and parents and children, countless. So I just wish you much success in the future. Thank you for taking time to talk with us. I hope when the pandemic is lifted and you're able to travel one day, come to St. Louis, come visit us here.
I'd be happy to.
Absolutely.
I'd be happy to.
And check us out. So again, thank you for this time. Thank you everybody who took the time out to be with us on ICD Spotlight.
Thank you all.
Yes, pretty
Jeffrey.
much. Yes. And please, when you order your books, and we'll be able to send you copies that, again, we'll have the autograph plates on there as well, and you'll be able to share it with your classrooms as well as with your children. Thanks everybody so much. ICD Spotlight series. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Have a great day, and blessings to you and your family. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Jeffrey.
All right. Take care.
Yo, what's up? It's E2000. Woo, I'm representing I See Me. Let's do it. Aha. I see me. 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 Help bunch of them see themselves in history. I see you, but I don't see me. That's what we do, help children see. And we give them self-esteem about themselves in history. I see me is all about fun and games, from modern days to King James. Is educational in many ways that memorize the people back in the days, such as Daniel in the lion's den, or Moses finding the 10 commandments. African American, but not just poor, as shown in verse 44. I see me, positivity, and now I see that I contributed in the making of the United States. But wait, I once was a great nation. I was once king of Spain. I invented so many things.